In this webinar, we're going to look at writing across the curriculum. There's a wide range of opportunities for writing throughout Purple Mash, plenty of different genres that can be explored, and we're going to do a little bit of that in this short webinar. We're also going to look at scaffolding tasks, differentiating work, and how you might give feedback as well. So let's begin. I'm going to look at the Lighthouse Keeper's Lunch. Now, if I wanted to find that sort of activity, I could just type Lighthouse into the front here, and you can see there's the Lighthouse Keeper activity. Now, it's not exactly what I want because it talks about the life of a lighthouse keeper. What I actually want to do is to pop my own text in there and customize it for the actual book and retelling the story. So if I go to the document I've already made, you can see what I've done here is I've actually customized this so it fits with the Lighthouse Keeper's Lunch. Over here is a word bin. Now I've changed this from the one that was here originally, and in order to do that sort of thing you just need to click this little teacher mode button up at the top here and click OK, and can you see over here now there's a whole set of pencils. So what I've done is I've created my own word bin specifically for this story. So I've been able to put Mr. Grinling in, Mrs. Grinling. I've done some little mouse overs here, and if you click on the edit button you'll see what happens. I can pop the title in here, the text that needs to appear when they click on it in here, and a little tooltip. And if I needed to, I could even click on here and record my own voice and add speech support if I needed to. So very simple way of creating your own customized resources ready for the children to use. If I wanted to, I could also pop a checklist on here for their writing. If your activity does not have a checklist, you can click on the little cog button here and you can click that you want a checklist and you can choose a checklist. You can choose one that we've already created, or you can browse for one that you've made previously. In this case, I'll go for a basic Key Stage 1 checklist, and you can see it's now got a tick. When I click on that, I now have a checklist. I can edit this as well. Notice the pencils. So if I want this to be a list of my key learning objectives, then I can alter this and I can save it, the save button there, and use it on another occasion. If I want to now set this work for children, again, I'm not going into detail on to-dos in this webinar, but you literally just have to click on the menu button over here, click the share button, and click on set to do. And you can then pop a title in there, the description, you can put voice support in here as well, and you just can skip through and set it for a class, a group, or for individual pupils. And that will appear in their to-do list ready to go. And of course you could create different levels of support, different levels of scaffolding for different groups. So they'd all get the same Lighthouse Keeper's Lunch work, but the level of support will be different. In order to see what the children see, I'm just going to impersonate a pupil, a child in Mars, and the child clicks on their to-dos and starts their work. They can do some work in here, save and exit, and hand in. They can leave a note for the teacher. They don't have to. You can just put a smiley face if they wanted to and hand it in. Once it's handed in, it can't be edited by the child. You've now got it as a teacher. To see the teacher view, I'm just going to switch back into this, click on my data button, click on my to-dos, and there's any to-do that I've currently got open. And this is the Light Housekeeper's Lunch. If I click Show the Work, any work that's been handed in will be into this folder. And notice when I click on the piece of work, I could double click and open it. I can add comments down here as well. So, but now I'm going to ask them to do something else. So I'm going to ask them if they could add a wider range of connectives in their retelling. And in this case, I'm going to click Save and Redo, and that will open it up again for the pupil. So that's been sent back to the pupil. So again, if we look at what the pupil sees, they have an alert to say that a comment's been handed in, but equally they can go to their to-dos and they can see what you've said and they can start it again. Now I think it's really helpful that what they've got down here is a post-it to tell them what needs to be done on this piece of work, so they can carry on doing some more work on here. They can save and exit when they're done, and if they're finished, they can hand in the second piece of work. And so again, you'll find that in the data area, the to-dos, Light Housekeeper's Lunch, and Show the Work. And you can see there's the second version now. So here you'll be able to show how the child's progressed from the first piece of work to the second piece of work. You'll be able to attach judgments if you wanted to for the year group and the subject area if you needed. You can also, from this area, give them a reward if you wished. And also, you'll be able to see all the children's work that have handed in this to do in one place, and you won't have to go looking for it. If you wish to print off the piece of work as evidence, you can just click the Print Files button here, and you can multiply select files if you wish. And if you click the little button that says Include Comments and File Details, then you'll have the name of the child and any comments that you've added to it, as well as the date it was done when it prints off, which is really handy. And if you want to finish the to-do, close it down and file the pupil work, all you do then is click Close To-Do and choose the close action that you want. So I'm going to give it back to the pupil. So move the pupil files to the pupil folders, and it'll have filed them all for me. So very simply, I can differentiate the work, I can feedback for the work, I can extend the work if I want to, I can mark the work, and I can file the work back to the children really easily. Now, if I didn't want to start with a document that has already been created, or a task that's already been created, then I can go to the tools area here and I can click on the publishing tools. And so if I wanted to write a newspaper report, I can click on the newspaper report blank template here, and I can open it up. Now, because this is a blank newspaper, it's got no support at all. It is as you see it. But that doesn't mean that I can't add support to it. So again, here's the little black teacher hat over here. And you can see now I've got this cog. And within the cog, I can say if I want to add a word bin, like I had with the Light Housekeeper's Lunch, or I might want a checklist. So I can click Choose a Checklist. Now, there are ones that are already created, or if I've already made one, I can click Browse. And I've done a report writing checklist. So I'm just going to open that one. And can you see now when I click on the tick, the children have got a reporter's checklist ready to go to assist them with this piece of work. I could still add a word bin if I wanted to at this point. All I need to do then is just click on the button here, share it for a to-do, set it as a to-do, give it a title, give it a description, as I did before, and set it for the children. So that's an example of how you might want to use the publishing templates, and there's a lot of different ones, from leaflets to postcards to newspapers to diaries, and there's also another selection in To Publish, some simpler ones like a trifold leaflet if you're covering menus. He said, she said, useful for characters and speech. And I really like the page border if you're writing poetry work. That's great for that sort of thing. If I'm looking at stimulating writing, I might want to look at the Serial Mash resources. If I click on Serial Mash here, I can go to the relevant area, diamonds being Key Stage 1, emeralds lower Key Stage 2, sapphires upper Key Stage 2. I can click on the latest book, and you can see here each chapter becomes available as the weeks progress through the half term. So at the moment we're on the second week, chapter 3, they can't read on. So this would be a great way of reading the book and predicting what's going to happen next. But you also get each week an extended writing activity with each book as well. If you're looking at structuring your story, you might find To Chart a useful tool. To Chart can be found in Tools, and if you scroll down, you'll actually find it with the coding, because it's often used in order to build your algorithm, but it's great for just planning any sort of sequential writing. So that could be a recipe, it could be instructional texts. In this case, I'll just show you an example that I've got here, a Story Mountain example. So you can see here, I could set this as an activity for them, and then they can expand their story through each of these blocks, because you can pull these larger, you can click in them to type in your text. So you could use this to plan your story if you wish. Another alternative might be to use To Respond. Now, To Respond is part of the email program. So again, if I click Tools, I can go down to the email area here. And within this, there are already writing activities in email already created. But if you want to create your own, you can use To Respond Creator. I'll just show you one that I've made earlier. If I just go to the teachers area, I've put this in the resource sharing area on Purple Mash, so if you want this for yourself, then you can. So I'm just going to call it Story Plan. And if I click on the story plan, it will set up an email activity. Now notice I've set up different questions. So these will all be different emails that would come to the child. So what genre should I have for my story? What are the main characters? And if you play it, what will happen is you will get an email. You need to write a story. What genre? The child replies, sends a response, and then another email arrives asking them about the characters. So they can work their way through this To Respond. At the end, you can print off the email conversation and they've got their story plan. So that's just another way that you might want to approach planning your stories. If you'd like to look at collaborating with your class, then a great tool is To Connect. Now, To Connect can be found in the Tools area, and you can see it's here. And what it allows you to do is actually create an interactive document that children can contribute to in real time. I'll open up one that I've made earlier. Now, the idea of this was that I wanted the class to come up with alternatives to SED for our writing. So I popped SED in the middle of the to connect, and then I shared this with the class. Now you can set this as a collaborative to do, or you can just pop it into the shared class folder. They can log on, open it up, and they can all contribute in real time. And within 30 seconds, you've got a wide range of suggestions from the children, all appearing on the board at the front of the class. So children really enjoy you doing this. It's really interactive. And a question I often get is, can you actually tell who's made the suggestion? So yes, you can if you need to. If I wanted to know who added shouted, I can click on there and I can click on the little edit button and click the history, and I'll find which child actually put that onto the board. You can add pictures, notes, change the colours of the nodes if you want to. But this is a really good idea of generating ideas. So again, it could be a picture of a character in the middle here, and they could all try and come up with suggestions on how they might describe it. It could be a scene. There's lots and lots of different ways you could use this in order to generate ideas for your writing. You know this is in collaborative mode when you see up the top corner the little green button with the pulsating Wi-Fi signal. If this is black and white, it is not in collaborative mode, it is in single user mode. But again, with all these programs in Purple Mash, if you look towards the top right hand corner, there's a video guide which will explain this if you need it. Okay, I'm now going to look quickly at presenting ideas. So you could present, for instance, a factual book in something like to create a story. Now, again, create a story, it's in tools. It sounds like it's only for stories. But if I open it up, you can see there's different levels. So you can do a very simple version. You can do a version where you can put pictures and sound and text in, and then you can have another version where you can actually hyperlink between pages, so you can create a non-chronological text like a textbook. It's called My Adventure Story, but don't worry, it doesn't matter what type of book you actually create with it. Now, if you'd like to see one I've made earlier, just to give you an idea, I'll open up my book of dinosaurs, and you can see here, if I click the play button, I've got a book of dinosaurs. And if I click on the dinosaur, not only does it move, but it goes to a page about that dinosaur. And I can click back, I can click on the Stegosaurus, I can find out about the Stegosaurus. So if you want to create non-linear books, it could be about Earth and space, it could be about a history topic, a geography topic, then you could create your own books like this. You can plan it by clicking on the little planning button, and you will see how the different pages link together. Another particularly creative way of writing a story might be to use 2DIY 3D, where you can actually build your own 3D game and tell a story through that. You'll find that within Tools, and if you scroll down into Games, Quiz and Game Creation here, you can see 2DIY 3D, and this enables you, as I say, to build your own 3D game. So again, if you want a quick example of that, because we're short of time in this webinar, we can just go to the work area here, and here's one I've created earlier. So if I click the play button here, you can see I can put my text in here. So this could be telling the story. They can play the first part of the game. Where they've got to collect the key. And when they click next, they go to the next level, and the next level could have the next part of the story. So again, you've got some more text that you could write in here, and then they play, and they can move their way through their story as part of an interactive game. Again, if they wish, they can add speech support to this. They could add their own sound files. And if you're finding it difficult to motivate some to write, then this could be a way in for you. Finally, you might want to share your writing. Now, you can do this on what we call a display board, where children would be able to view lots of different pieces of work. But you may also want peer assessment. So you might want the children to read or play the relevant game, if that's what you've made, and actually comment on what other children have done. In that instance, you're better off with a class blog. Now, if you'd like to create a blog or a display board, you click on the admin button here, and this is display boards and this is blogs. So it's really straightforward to create the blog. You just click on the blog there. You click the plus button to create a new one. So I'll call it our stories. I can choose different icons for it if I want to. I can change different covers, and here I can decide if I want the public, i.e. if I want this to be viewed outside of school. I can just click on there, and if I do, then it will generate links for me, QR codes, embed codes, and links. And if I want to decide who can see it, down here I can say all classes in the school, or I can just say it's just Mars class that can see it. And then I can choose who can comment on it and who can post on it. So if I want, I can restrict it right down to just my class and just save it. And then if you wanted to send anything to your display board, you can simply click on the piece of work. So maybe it's the Lighthouse Keeper's Lunch here. If I want to send it to the blog, I can open up the game in this case, click on the little purple button and share it. And I can blog about my work. And it's our stories, so I'm going to click on there. And I can pop the title in, a summary, and save it. And once it's on the blog, other children will be able to view it and other children will be able to comment. Now, nothing goes on the blog unless you've approved it, so you don't need to worry about children's comments on there. They will not go on unless you've approved it, nor will the content. So you might want to use, as I said, either display boards or the blogs in order to share work as well. To access your blogs, you can just click the sharing button here, and you can see the shared blogs are here and display boards are here. And you can create as many as you like, and you can put as much work as you want on those. Okay, so we've had a quick look around different genres of writing, different ways of encouraging and using writing within Purple Mash. Don't forget, in this area down at the bottom, you've got over 1,000 writing activities, and they're all editable with the little black teacher hat that I was talking about earlier. And don't forget to set work as to-dos so that it's much more targeted and much easier to handle within the classroom situation. It saves an awful lot of time for the teacher in terms of workload, finding, organising, marking, reviewing work. If you need any more information on some of the programs that I've talked about today, there are how to help videos within each program. Open up the program and look for the help video. Thanks very much for watching this webinar today, and enjoy your purple mashing.